The day after Adrian and I got our marriage license, he vanished. So I adopted a tiny golden retriever puppy on the side. The next evening, word reached Adrian. From that day on, he started coming home. Either he cooked wearing nothing but my lace apron or he paraded in front of me in a bath towel. When Hayes rang to say the pup was pining, I grabbed my keys, only for him to rise. "Why not take me to meet this puppy of yours?" My face drained of color. I'd hidden the furball outside precisely because he hated dogs. He looked thunderous. "You really do prefer the stray you keep outside?" I nodded. "I'll show you if you insist, but I swear I'll never bring him home or let him bother you." Because he kept pressing, I took him to see my secret. A butter-colored golden retriever puppy curled on the blanket. Before we continue, subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening. Our union was a pure business contract. On license day Adrian tossed me a black card and a set of keys, his face bored, "I'm swamped, don't bother me unless it's vital." Exactly as he warned, in 3 months of marriage I could count our encounters. The 6-bedroom mansion felt like a mausoleum, even the echoes sounded lonely. I savored the freedom. Since my husband was useless company, I found my own entertainment. I leased a turnkey loft in the next block, built a love nest, and stashed my heart-melting puppy. Each day I spooned kibble into his bowl, stroked his silky ears, and drowned in the devotion shining from those wet brown eyes. That comfort outweighed guarding this empty house 10,000-fold. But walls have ears. Apparently I dashed over too often, even spent whole nights away cuddling my puppy. Eventually gossip floated back to Adrian. The whole Upper East Side buzzed. Sterling couldn't stand solitude. She'd installed a ripped young boy toy in a pied terra, a clingy puppy type, they said. The morning the rumor broke, the man who'd ghosted me for a quarter came home. I was heading out when a pair of Italian Oxfords appeared in the foyer. I glanced up. Adrian occupied the living room sofa. Legs crossed, newspaper in hand, he carved question marks into me with his gaze. "Where were you?" Ice clung to each syllable. I clutched my purse strap. He didn't love me, yet if the scandal stuck, it slapped his name. "Just strolling." He gave a curt laugh, letting it pass. "We're dining in tonight." I blinked. The sun must have risen west. What spooked me more, that night he cooked. Tailored suit jacket gone, white shirt stretched across his shoulders, sleeves rolled to display flexed forearms. Worse, he knotted my baby pink lace apron at his narrow waist. Once, the sight of aloof CEO meets domestic goddess might have amused me. Now it felt like calm before a typhoon. Chop, chop, steel on board. He wasn't mincing onions, he was carving the homewrecker. 4 days Adrian stayed weird. He came home constantly. And his behavior grew bizarre. Case in point, fresh from the shower, I found him leaning against the bedroom frame. Hair dripped down his straight nose, slid over his throat, vanished onto his chest. Point of crisis, only a bath towel ringed his hips, not loose, V-cup pronounced, abs popping. He swirled red wine, eyes locked on me with unreadable heat. "Finished?" Low, husky, shower steam still clinging, he advanced. I backed up until plaster chilled my spine. "At Adrian, what are you doing?" He braced one hand beside my ear, boxing me in, cologne mingling with pure male musk. "Tell me, wife, does home cooking bore you? Or is the household view lacking?" Innuendo dripped. My heart hammered. Ice King was seducing me? All to lure my heart back from my side piece? I haven't, I blurted. He huffed, twirling a wet lock of my hair. "Better not. Outside thrills feel fresh but filthy. Play if you must, don't get attached." He released me, drained the glass, strode off. I exhaled, legs jelly. These past 3 days his scrutiny pinned me. T visited my pup once. Hayes texted, the baby refused kibble, whined at the door, waiting, ribs starting to show. My heart cracked. He was my soft spot, how could I let him ache? While Adrian chaired a Zoom in the study, I sneaked onto the terrace and speed dialed her. "Hayes, still no appetite? Still crying?" "Yes, ma'am, listless. Come soon?" "I'll try." Cold air slapped my back. I spun, phone almost flying. Adrian loomed inside the glass door, face storm black. "How long will you lie?" He shoved it open, snatched my cell, scanned the log, laughed sharp. "All these tricks for your stray stud." I went sheet white, words jamming. Dogs triggered Adrian's mysophobia and mild allergy. Prenup clause, 0 pets. So I'd stashed my puppy blocks away, no way could he know. If he discovered the rented loft, or that I'd chosen a dog over him, bye-bye fur baby. "Adrian, let me explain." "Explain what?" He herded me until railing bit my spine, fingers biting my shoulders. "Explain how perfect he is?" Explain why you picked that dive over this mansion? His voice shook, rage off its leash. I froze. Wait, this was snowballing. You've got it wrong. I stomped. I only. His eyes reddened. Fine. Since you can't let go, take me to him. My pupils flared. No. Scared? A savage grin stretched his lips. Afraid I'll murder him? I quivered. At this murderous glare, if he met my puppy, he might fling the creature into the Hudson, or worse. Adrian, breathe. I lifted placating palms. I won't go. Promise. Just, don't be angry. The more I shielded, the higher his flames roared. Now you suddenly care? He let go of me, straightened his slightly rumpled collar, and resumed that lofty, indifferent mask. But his voice was still ice. Too late. Today I'm seeing him. I want a good look at the punk who's got Sterling swooning. Those words were the final ultimatum. I knew I couldn't dodge it anymore. If I refused, he'd dig up the address himself and the fallout would be worse. If I took him, maybe I could shield the dog before he exploded. Staring at his storm-dark face, my stomach pitched. You're that crazy about the little mongrel outside, he sneered when I hesitated. I clenched my teeth and nodded. I'll let you look, but I swear I won't bring him home and I won't let it affect you. Just, don't hurt him. Adrian went rigid, pain flickered across his eyes. He hadn't expected me to bargain for a puppy. Fine. The word grated through his teeth. Lead the way. The drive to the loft felt like a depressurized cabin. Veins bulged on the hands gripping the wheel, the speedometer needle darted past scary. His lips were locked, Arctic frost radiating in waves. I huddled in the passenger seat, barely breathing, silently pleading that my baby would behave and not sprint straight into the line of fire. He braked hard, slammed the door, and strode off. I scrambled after him. The elevator numbers climbed, my heart climbed higher. Ding, doors parted. I shuffled to the unit, finger hovering over the biometric lock. Open it, Adrian said from behind, voice glacial. I sucked in air. Adrian, you promised, only look, no hitting. His black eyes pinned me, jaw like granite. I shut my own eyes and pressed. Beep, unlocked. I pushed the door, words still unspoken, when a golden blur rocketed out. Woof woof woof. A 4-month-old golden retriever puppy. Fluffy cream fur, floppy ears, tail whirring like a propeller. He'd heard my footsteps and lost his mind. He cannonballed into my legs, paws scrabbling at my slacks, whimpering sweet complaints. Before I could scoop him up, his nose twitched, stranger alert. He swiveled, spotting Adrian behind me. Adrian froze mid-step. The bloodthirsty scowl he'd worn to dismember his rival petrified on his face, absurd and comical. Air stopped moving. No toy boy. No boy toy. Just a knee-high furball cocking its head. Woof? Maybe the pup thought the tall man looked familiar, or maybe babies fear nothing. He let go of me, toddled over, and plop. Pet his butt on Adrian's Oxford. Craning up, he flashed a perfect angel smile and swiped a pink tongue across the leather. Adrian stared at the creature parked on his foot, pupils earthquaking. This is your little milk dog? A long moment passed before Adrian found his voice. No more frost, only dazed disbelief. I half-stepped in front of the pup, sheltering him. Yep, only 4 months, super clingy. I know you're no fan and you're allergic, so I kept him outside. I swear I never cheated on you. Adrian's gaze slid from the dog to me, features cycling through rage embarrassment something unreadable, faster than a Sichuan mask change. So, he managed, finger pointing downward, all those nights you didn't come home were to feed a dog? He needs company, I mumbled. And he's adorable. Adrian squeezed his eyes shut, inhaling like he was trying to digest the universe's ugliest plot twist. The steel across his shoulders loosened, the suffocating pressure lifted. Hay said he won't eat, he asked out of nowhere. Huh? Oh, yeah, picky eater. He looked again at the little guy still gnawing his laces. I braced for a kick, but instead he crouched. The puppy, thrilled, planted both forepaws on Adrian's knee and lunged to lick his face. I yelped, don't. He'll lick, too late. Adrian didn't flinch. He extended one elegant finger and, stiffly, poked the damp nose. The pup sneezed, then joyfully head-butted his palm. Adrian's finger trembled, yet stayed. Watching this tiny life trust him completely, the glacier inside his eyes cracked. What's his name? He asked, no disgust detectable. No real name yet, just Lucky? I tried. Adrian's lip curled. Tacky. He rose, brushing non-existent dust from his trousers. Pack up. I blinked. Pack what? He stared down, ears tinged pink. Yet he kept his board-stiff dignity. Bring him home. Huh? I was sure I'd misheard. But you don't, When did I say I don't like dogs? He cut in, gaze sliding sideways. I'd never met one. But your allergy. Antihistamines exist. He scowled. Keeping him outside? Rumors will say the Sterlings can't afford a pet. And, he paused, eyes locking on me, voice almost a growl, home, so certain people can't use him as an excuse to wander off with their soul every night. It clicked, he was jealous, of a puppy? Or maybe this was his convoluted way of asking me to come home. Seeing him so awkward, the boulder in my chest dissolved, laughter bubbled up. So the aloof, untouchable Adrian got possessive over a golden retriever. What are you waiting for? He muttered, ears redder. Expecting me to invite him into the car myself? Coming. I hoisted the squirming furball, heart cartwheeling. The pup barked at Adrian. Adrian shot him a side eye, the corner of his mouth lifting a millimeter. On the way home, the car settled into a steadier speed. The golden retriever puppy was sprawled across the back seat, asleep. I sat in the passenger seat, sneaking glances at Adrian behind the wheel. So. I broke the silence. Spit it out. Did you seriously think I was keeping some guy on the side? Squeal, the car jerked to a sudden half-stop. Adrian stared straight ahead, the line of his profile taut, red spreading from his earlobes to his neck. No, he denied flatly, voice suspiciously thin. Oh. I dragged the syllable. Then all that cooking and towel flashing this week was you fighting a dog for attention? Adrian swiveled his head, glaring at me in mortified fury. Shut it. I swallowed a laugh and obediently closed my mouth. Back at the mansion, Adrian complained the whole way, yet still told Hayes to put the puppy's bed in the choicest corner of the living room. Watching him sneeze while hand-feeding the dog freeze-dried treats, I suddenly felt this merger marriage might not be as dreadful as I'd thought. At the very least, Adrian looked a lot more pleasing right now. Adrian. What? He didn't turn, he was busy teaching the puppy to shake. Thank you. His hand paused, then he gave a soft hum, straightened, and reinflated his proud manner. Thank me for what? I just don't want it wandering off and disgracing the Sterling name. He headed upstairs, stopped halfway, back still to me, come home earlier from now on. The mansion isn't off limits to pets. Watching that tall, slightly stiff figure vanish around the stair landing, I lowered my head to rub the little golden in my arms and couldn't hold back a snort of laughter. Who'd have guessed the mighty CEO of Sterling would spend days honing his cooking skills and showing off his body, turning the house upside down, all because of a rival who wasn't even weaned? From now on you're bullion, I whispered, tapping the pup's damp nose. After all, your dad, the grumpy man who just stomped off, spent serious money to bring you home. Woof. The little scamp seemed perfectly happy with his money-flavored name. Once bullion was settled and I'd reminded Hayes to keep an eye on him, I drifted reluctantly toward the master bedroom. I pushed the door open, only one wall lamp was on, the light hazy and intimate. Adrian leaned against the headboard, holding the same finance magazine he hadn't turned a page of in 2 weeks. Gold-rimmed glasses perched on his nose, he didn't so much as lift an eyelid at the sound, though the rigid clench of his jaw betrayed him. A strip of antihistamines sat open on the nightstand, the glass of water half empty. Something inside me softened. I walked over and sat beside him. Did you take the meds? Adrian's page-turning hand froze. Finally he spared me a glance, tone still prickly, preventive measure. Since we're keeping it, I'd better be prepared. Actually, if it gets too rough, I can take him back to my loft and visit every. No. The refusal was absolute. He snapped the magazine shut and tossed it aside. Turning squarely toward me, his gaze dark, he said, under my roof is better than you running out the door every day. Amused, I asked, still don't trust me? I don't trust th. At species, he snorted, removing his glasses to pinch the bridge of his nose. They're expert opportunists. Without supervision, there'll be no room left in this house for me. The jealousy was so thick you could spread it on toast. Before I could tease, my wrist was seized and I was yanked forward. The world tilted, and suddenly Adrian loomed over me, arms braced on either side. Looking down, eyes blazing with the irritation he'd smothered downstairs, he muttered, Sterling, now that the misunderstanding is cleared up, shouldn't we settle the bill? My heart skipped, I stammered, what bill? This week, cooking and, ahem. He flushed, almost choking on the word seduction, ears crimson but fighting to keep his edge. Mental damage fee, plus compensation for being ignored, time to pay up, don't you think? My face went up in flames. That so? A dangerous curve hooked his mouth, his fingers began leisurely unbuttoning my pajama top. Since there's no rival, the job falls to your lawful husband. If the service is unsatisfactory, feel free to file a complaint. The kiss landed, punishing, fierce, leaving me dizzy. Instinctively my arms wound around his neck. The air was heating, the bedroom temperature climbing. Scritch scritch scritch, a shrill clawing rasped at the door, followed by Bullion's puppy-lung bark. Woof. Woof woof. Adrian froze mid-embrace. I froze too. The racket continued, now with added thumps as the insecure newcomer rammed the door looking for me. Veins dancing at his temples, Adrian drew a slow breath and ground out, "Throw it out." I swallowed a giggle and pushed at his chest. He's scared his first night, let me stay. He pinned me, black-faced, and barked toward the door, "Shut it." Silence lasted one beat. Then, woof 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 woof. Even cockier than before. Adrian's face could have eclipsed the sun. He rolled off the bed, stormed to the door, and yanked it open. Bullion had been propped against it, the door swung away, and he tumbled in, lawn. Ding on Adrian's loafer. Unfazed, the pup latched onto Adrian's ankle, tail wagging like a propeller. "Adrian, don't be mad at him." I scrambled over, afraid he'd punt the dog across the room. But the expected eruption never came. Adrian bent, hoisted Bullion by the scruff, and held him midair for a stare down. Bullion dangled, head cocked, blinking shiny black eyes, tongue darting to lick Adrian's hand. "This is the gigolo you picked?" he asked me, eyes unreadable. "Other than shameless guts, where exactly does he outrank me?" "Me, he's competing with a puppy now?" "He sleeps in the guest room tonight," Adrian decreed, dog in hand, turning to leave. "He'll howl," I warned. Adrian paused, looked back at the bed, then at the pup, waging a visible internal war. At last he stalked in again and dumped Bullion onto the rug at the footboard. "Floor only. Touch the mattress and tomorrow you're stew." Either Bullion understood the threat or the Persian rug felt like heaven. He circled twice, flopped, gave a contented grunt, and fell silent. Adrian stalked to the bathroom and scrubbed his hands 3 times before coming back to bed. The earlier spell was thoroughly broken. He collapsed beside me with a frustrated sigh, yanked me into his arms, chin on my head, and muttered, "Tomorrow I'm having a soundproof kennel built." Snuggled against his steady heartbeat, I smiled. "Adrian. Your jealous face is actually kind of cute." The arm around me stiffened, then tightened even more. A cool, proud snort drifted from overhead. "Sleep. Say one more word and I won't care whether that mud is still in the room." I didn't sleep soundly that night. In my dreams it felt as if a heavy rock were pressing on my chest, stealing my breath. Half conscious, I sensed something damp and warm rubbing my cheek, carrying a faint milky scent. With effort, I pried my eyes open, an explosion of blonde fuzz filled my vision. "Bullion!" I yelped and came fully awake. The little rascal, who was suppository Ed to be asleep on his rug, was sprawled with majestic swagger between Adrian and me. He'd seized the prime real estate and parked his huge puppy head on Adrian's arm. Limbs flung wide, he was drooling a small lake, one that had soaked the silk pajama cuff of the man himself. I sucked in a silent breath, my heart nearly stopping. I was finished. Adrian was a neat freak and infamous for his morning temper. If he saw this scene, Bullion might really end up as a claypot puppy stew. Holding my breath, I reached out gingerly, trying to pry the shameless creature away without waking the man. The moment my fingers closed over the scruff of Bullion's neck, the rascal woke up. Bleary eyes opened, the tail started thrashing the instant he saw me. He yawned hugely, then, woof. The sharp bark sliced through the quiet dawn. The man beside me went rigid. I shut my eyes in despair. Adrian didn't explode. He simply locked his brows, lashes fluttering once before his eyes opened. His usually sharp gaze was foggy with sleep and confusion. He instinctively lifted a hand to rub his brow, only to find his right arm weighed down. He turned his head. One man, one dog, 4 eyes met. Bullion appeared blissfully unaware of danger. Thinking this a new game, he flicked out a pink tongue and slathered Adrian's chin with enthusiasm. The air turned tomb still. I shrank beneath the quilt, too scared to breathe, already composing Bullion's eulogy. "Adrian, listen." It climbed up on its own. Adrian didn't speak. Expressionless, he slid the drool-soaked sleeve from under the puppy's head. He gave the soggy patch a disgusted glance, then looked at Bullion, who was still grinning dopily. Just when I expected rage, he sneezed. Achoo! The sneeze seemed to break a spell. Sitting up, he lifted Bullion by the scruff and deposited him on the floor as if discarding trash. "Lock the door from now on." His voice was gravel and blocked sinuses. "If I see it on the bed again, you'll sleep on the floor with it." The words were ferocious, yet the movement wasn't rough. Bullion landed on the thick Persian, rolled, and cheerfully scampered back to gnaw Adrian's loafer. I exhaled in relief and eagerly shoved the bedside glass at him. Drink some water, are your allergies flaring? Adrian took a sip, snorted, I won't die, and threw the covers back. The instant his foot slid into the slipper it met resistance. Bullion had clamped the pricey leather like a chew toy, growling a playful grrr. Adrian, he lifted his foot, the puppy dangled from it, swaying like a golden pendant. I couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. Adrian shot me a glare, half fury, half embarrassment. Still laughing? Control your son. I blinked, then laughed harder. Sterling, you brought him home, since when is he solely my son? I'd managed to choke him, the tips of his ears reddened. He bent down, peeled Bullion off his foot, then rubbed the puppy's fluffy head so hard the fur stuck up like straw. Brat. The curse could have been aimed at the dog, or at himself for stooping to argue with it, before he stalked into the bathroom. Water rushed behind the door. I stared at the clueless puppy on the floor, warmth flooding me. The loft felt different now. Breakfast unfolded in a weirdly harmonious haze. Immaculate in charcoal-tailored suit, Adrian occupied the head of the table, eyes on the market on his tablet, every inch the Titan. If you ignored the furry gold torpedo assaulting his pant leg. Housekeeper stood nearby, grin so wide it threatened to split his face. Sir, this is puppy formula and softened kibble for Bullion, he announced, setting a small bowl beside Adrian. The scent lured Bullion away from the trousers. He plunged face first into breakfast, munching loudly. Adrian eyed the muddy paw prints on his cuff, glanced at the dog, sighed, set the tablet down, and began his congee. Just then the doorbell rang. Housekeeper answered. Moments later Jason appeared. Sterling, the documents you requested, and the sentence died. Jason gaped at the puppy napping across Adrian's Italian loafers, then at the hair-flecked suit pants, pupils practically popping. The entire firm knew their CEO was a germaphobe who loathed anything furry. So the rumor was true? The Mrs.'s boy toy crisis had driven Sterling to keep a peace-offering dog? Jason's gaze ricocheted between Adrian and me, expression rearranging itself every half-second. What are you staring at? Adrian asked without looking up. Jason flinched, snapped his eyes forward, and stammered, nothing, sir. About the earlier gossip cleanup, he meant the tale that I was keeping a boy toy. Adrian set his spoon down, dabbed his mouth, and flicked a bored glance at Bullion. No cleanup necessary. Jason blinked. Huh? But the lady's reputation, take a photo, Adrian ordered out of nowhere. Sir? Photograph the dog. He pointed at Bullion, tone casual. Post it on my private Instagram. Caption it, he paused, gaze brushing me, a playful spark in his eyes. Wife's new boy toy, definitely clingy. I was mid-sip of milk, I nearly sprayed it across the table. The man's capacity for revenge was unreal. Jason needed a full 3 seconds to realize his boss was killing the rumor, while flaunting coupledom. Yes, understood. Comprehension dawned. He whipped out his phone and snapped 2 quick shots of the oblivious puppy. Adrian gave a satisfied nod and rose, straightening his collar. Leaving. He came to my side and brushed a kiss across my forehead. There's a dinner tonight, I'll be late. Keep an eye on, his eyes flicked to the dog, him. Don't let him tear the place down. I touched the warm spot he'd kissed, cheeks burning, and nodded obediently. Got it. Drive safe. At the foyer he paused, looked back at me. Morning light spilled over him, gilding every sharp edge in soft gold. Also, he added, lifting a brow, the ghost of a smile tugging at his lips, next time you need something, come straight to me. No hunting for stand-eye. NS. I watched the black Maybach vanish into traffic, palms pressed to my burning cheeks, my pulse still ricocheting off my ribs. Stand-ins. I glanced down at the golden retriever puppy cocking its head like a happy dope, tapped its damp nose. Hear that? Your sour, stubborn father is jealous of you. Goldie didn't understand a word, just thrilled to the touch, tail whirring like a tiny motor back in the living room. My phone erupted. It was Jason, predictably superhuman. Adrian's private Instagram had been a digital wasteland, his last post, 3 years ago, a robotic press release about the IPO. Now, without warning, a new photo, Dawn Hayes, Goldie sprawled across a hand-knotted Persian rug, dead asleep. Caption, crisp and lethal, the wife's new golden retriever puppy, definitely clingy. The post detonated through our entire social stratosphere like a depth charge. My God. So the notorious toy boy is literally a toy poodle-sized golden? I knew Sterling wouldn't trade Sterling for some random snack, guess we overthought it, huh? LMAO, who swore they saw Olivia checking a young hunk into her loft? That retriever stands pretty tall on his hind legs, yeah. I laughed until my ribs hurt. Adrian had nuked the gossip and staked his claim in one elegant swipe. Crafty damn fox. The day turned into a marathon. To keep Goldie from demolishing the mansion, I spent the afternoon hurling a frisbee across the garden. The beast had nuclear batteries. When the sun finally slid away, I collapsed onto a lounger, while he kept industriously digging craters. At 9 sharp, engines rumbled outside. I sprang off the sofa, still barefoot, and Goldie beat me to the door. Adrian stepped in, night air clinging to his tailored suit. Exhaustion dragged at his shoulders, tie loose, collar unbuttoned. Woof. Goldie vaulted, planting 2 muddy paws square on Adrian's gray flannel. Adrian froze, eyelid twitching at the fresh prints, but instead of the morning's stiff arm he bent awkwardly and pat Ted the puppy twice. Go entertain yourself. Voice like winter, hands almost gentle. Satisfied, Goldie scampered off, tail drumming. Adrian toed off his loafers, looked up at me hovering in the foyer, and some of the tiredness bled from his eyes, replaced by something darker, calmer. Have you eaten? He asked. Hours ago. I slipped the briefcase from his grip. There's soup in the kitchen, want it? Yeah. Yet he didn't move, just burned a stare into me. What? I shifted under the scrutiny. He hooked an arm around my waist and reeled me in. Were you good today? He murmured, nose brushing my cheek, voice pitched illegally low. I'm not Goldie. I muttered, cheeks blazing. You're harder to manage, he chuckled, breath hot against my ear. Feed him and he obeys, with you I have to decode signals. I never. The sentence was swallowed by his mouth. No morning punishment this time, only slow, claiming tenderness. When oxygen finally became urgent, he rested his forehead on mine. Soup can wait. Bedroom first. But Goldie's in the living room, Hayes is on duty. He scooped me up before I could protest and started for the stairs. I ordered an auto-feeder and a palace-sized doghouse. He'll be ecstatic till sunrise. My eyes rounded. When did you even shop? During the 4 o'clock finance call, he said without a shred of guilt. Jason sent links. I bit back a laugh, the mighty Adrian, ignoring pie charts to scroll chew toy reviews. Inside the master bedroom he locked the door, testing the knob twice. Seriously? I giggled. He can't pick locks. Never underestimate the enemy. He laid me on the duvet and leaned over, arms caging me, features sharp in the lamplight, desire rolling off him in hot waves. Sterling, he drawled, sliding each shirt button free, about last night's debt, time to pay principal plus interest. My heart jackhammered, I fisted the sheets. What debt? I don't recall any I owe you. Forgotten? He nipped my lower lip, voice velvet-wrapped steel. No worries. I'll jog your memory, line by line. Let's start with, outside puppies have better stamina. I was spitting mad. And, you'd rather walk a dog than come home to your husband. Total misunderstanding. Or, his knuckles traced my throat, paused at my collarbone, circling. You claimed you didn't want a substitute. He stopped, eyes flaring, and whispered roughly, so tell me, who am I? Mind blank, I answered on instinct. Add, Adrian. Wrong answer. His fingers tightened just enough to brand. Who, husband? The smile that bloomed in his gaze was fierce, possessive. He kissed me, swallowing every syllable left in my throat. Good girl. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, tap like and share with friends. We can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. See you next time.